So I want to make some point about police behavior. I'm in pre-production about something that's going to talk about, in a very important way, it's going to talk about the end results of policing, SWAT, and things like that in dangerous situations. Okay. There was a kid recently that came to school with a shotgun with one shell in it to end his own life. One of the police officers, well, actually, what happened was in the broadcast, the kid had the shotgun and went into like a closet to kill himself. A teacher went, grabbed the shotgun from him, gave the shotgun to another teacher or whatever to make sure that the shotgun was secure, and hugged the kid and saying, "Look, life is worth living," right? So at this point, the news had traveled, or the news had traveled to the authorities or to the police. So when they arrived at the high school, they don't see, the thing about police officers is they don't do their research. That's the problem. They need to be retrained. 90% of their training needs to be on communication, social behavior. 5% needs to be trained on legality, because legality that's debatable, it's subjective. 5% more, which would make 100%, needs to be trained on like CPR and things like that. And then, they don't even need gun training at all. They'll get all that on YouTube or whatever. Like 0.3% on how to shoot the freaking gun. We don't want them to really know how to shoot the gun. Okay? But anyway, they come to the school and they tackle this mentally ill child or this mentally ill teenager. They tackle him after they have clear proof that he is completely safe. The gun was taken away. He was disarmed. He had no gun. But regardless, they tackled him anyway to the ground and handcuffed him on the ground face first. That was like, I'm punishing you for having a sidearm. When the kid, in society today, we can carry around shotguns. We can openly carry, well, we can in Texas. We can openly carry. We can also openly carry sidearms. But they knew he didn't have the shotgun. They talked to someone. They don't do their research. So they tackle the guy. He's already mentally ill, and that's more shame. That's the thing, is the police need to stop kicking you when you fall down. It's that whole statement, kick them when they fall down. Kick them when they fall down. They don't have the right people as police officers. Police officers have a military SWAT team tactic that's going off in their head. They have a military SWAT team mentality. Kill, 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 then ask questions. That's the wrong way. It's ask questions, research, research, never kill. Okay? We should have no accidental shootings like we had in Fort Worth just recently. The Amber Geiger stuff should never happen. First of all, Amber Geiger should have never been a police officer in the first place. The guy in Fort Worth that ran on the property on a well-being check, okay? That killed the lady in her own house for having a gun. So what? She could have anything in her house. She could have anything in her house. She could have a bazooka. She could be pointing a bazooka at the window. Still no reason to shoot her, especially on a well-being check. So that police officer will go to prison. Okay. And listen, if you're a police officer, you do not want to go to prison, especially for shooting someone. Listen to me now. If you are a police officer, you do not want to go to prison, especially for shooting someone. You understand? You do not want to go to that hell. You do not. Think twice. Surrender your sidearms. Go to your department captain, chief, in protest. Surrender your sidearms. This is a time to make a change. Surrender your sidearm. Say, I want to be a police officer, but I'm surrendering my sidearm. And I'll go off and do. Most police officers don't even brandish their gun their entire career. They don't even use their sidearm their entire career. Surrender your sidearm in protest so that they can create a proper stun ray to help people. And don't go into the high school and the kid's okay. And you know, it's like that kid in MacArthur in MacArthur High School who brought the suitcase in science fair or whatever, and it kind of looked like a bomb. So they handcuffed him. What does that say to that kid? He's publicly handcuffed. How humiliated. How humiliating can the kid be? They're rude. Stop hiring police officers that are rude. Stop hiring bullies as police officers. Make them have really long psychological tests. Get them in situations where they'll lose their temper. If they lose their temper, don't hire them as a police officer. Hire more like psychologists as police officers or therapists as police officers. Also, create a division for police officers to write tickets that don't have sidearms. If they see something and there's a gun, they can call SWAT. Because the SWAT guys are going to know what to do. Well, the guys in the car, is he armed or disarmed? They're not really that afraid. It's the police officers that get really scared and they pull their guns out, or they tackle some kid that's mentally ill in a high school that's already surrendered his gun and he didn't kill him, and they tackle him to the ground. They're trying to prove some kind of point. And also, stop tackling people and stop yelling at people. You know how loud they get. God, 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 God! All that shit. Don't train them to be that way. Don't train them to be fucking freaks. Train them not to be that way. Train them to be, normal, and to stop tackling people, pulling people out of the cars, losing their temper. They're like football players with fucking lethal sidearms. They're idiotic. Also, cops should not be allowed on people's property for no reason at all. On a well-being check, they can do a phone call or they can do it from their car. If their houses are on fire and they don't seem dead, don't even knock on their fucking door. A police officer should never knock on someone's door, ever. Okay? Now, here's another thing about the lethal sidearm and serving something. Now, let's say if they're going to serve a warrant on a deadly criminal, a guy that just killed 4 people, right? He's raped all these people, he's killed all whatever. Then they can. I mean, you should never be able to serve a warrant on somebody unless that person is the most dangerous criminal in that fucking state. We're talking like more dangerous than David Koresh. More dangerous than Lee Harvey Oswald. I mean, we're talking about that's when they should serve a warrant. Now, a well-being check and you're brandishing your gun on someone's property. They should never enter into someone's property unless it's life-threatening, and they know for sure it's life-threatening. Why not make a phone call? Bullhorns. Use a bullhorn. What about, listen, he could have used a bullhorn. Hello, are you okay in there? Come to the front door. That would have saved that lady's life. Use the bullhorns. Here's another thing. I saw this guy who got shot in Oregon. He was a protester with some other people. They trapped the people. It was a horrible experience to watch. Watch it on YouTube. It's an Oregon protester. He had a gun in his. He was wearing a gun on him because he was NRA, gun right, whatever, nutcase, whatever guy protesting on someone's property or something. It ended in a horrible gun battle. Okay. And the guy reached in his jacket. They said it was justified. It wasn't justified. They murdered that guy. He told him, look, shoot me in the head, all this stuff. I'm going to the sheriff's office. Why didn't they just peacefully follow the guy to listen? They need to listen and communicate. They could have peacefully followed the guy to the sheriff's office. He already had told them. If you watch the video of the Oregon guy that was murdered by the police, he tells them in the beginning of the video several times, I'm going to the sheriff's office. His intent was he was going to drive to the sheriff's office, get out, and talk to the sheriff, because the sheriff was an older guy. These young guys murdered him, and they got away with it. Now, they should retry those police officers and put them in jail for murder. Now, what happened is he said, shoot me right here. He said it several times. And he got out of the car because he's with his women and everything. And the police officer wanted the women and everything. So that's how they are. They're dominant. They're just like soldiers. He got out of the car and he ran out into the snow. And they kind of surrounded him. And then one guy got his taser. And he put his hand in the jacket. And he could have been, what he could have been doing is he could have been taking the gun out to throw it down in the snow, which is probably what he was trying to do. So he reached in the jacket to take the gun out to throw the gun away in the snow. So when they arrested him and tackled him to the ground, which they need to stop doing that kind of stuff, that's wrong behavior. They he reached in to grab the gun, and they just executed him. They murdered him right there, and they should all be in prison. All those police officers. They also shot flashbangs at the ladies, the ladies, that were in the truck, and tear gas. They threw tear gas, shot. They were probably laughing as they were doing it and stuff. And then they went up there on national TV and said it was justified, and that was murder. That was like a David Koresh murder, like Waco murdering. So we need to get these police officers under control. We need to do it quick. So first, what I would say to the police officers: surrender your lethal sidearm. Just surrender. Just go to your police station and just say, listen, I would like to still be a police officer. I'm no longer going to wear this lethal sidearm. Okay? It's first thing. Then they'll give you a really good stun gun. All right. So that's the first thing. So go watch the Oregon video. I'm going to look at it right here so I can find it. I was watching ABC News on this one thing where the police officers tackled this kid in a high school. He had already surrendered. Everything was okay, but the way that they treat people is horrible. It's the wrong message. So this is, I probably won't be able to find it, but it's Oregon. Let's see if I can find it. It's something everybody needs to watch, this horror of how police officers are just abusing the citizens. And we need them to put away their guns. They need to put away their guns as fast as possible. They need to get rid of it. And this guy had a gun on him, but they shot him anyway. So what? The police have guns on them. They don't shoot each other, do they? That's what they need. Well, they need to do more training. They need to figure out why don't they shoot each other? I mean, if their friend has a gun, right? Their partner has a gun. Why don't they just shoot their partner instead? Then shoot a citizen that has it. That's something to think. Their partner has a gun. Why wouldn't they shoot their partner? It's what they do with the gun. They brandish the gun. Also, another thing, too. Hey, listen, the lady in Fort Worth, she brandished the gun. Does she have bullets in the gun? Did she fire first? No, the officer fired first. That's what they need to talk about in the trial. The officer fired first. Those are what the people need to stand out in the courtroom to get that, make sure that officer goes to prison as a felon, as a murderer. They need to say, the officer fired first. The officer fired first. Okay, so the Oregon one right here, I might be able to find it because I want to get the name on it. Protester. It'll just take me a minute. The officer fired first. Yeah, see who fired first. Now, there are some cases where people will brandish a gun, but that doesn't mean they have to shoot them. It's who fires first. Like, think of the Old West days. Oregon protester. It probably won't come up. Shot. Might. Let me see if I can find it here. Yes, here it is. FBI video shows moment of Oregon protester fatally shot 3 years ago. Oregon militia shooting. He was a Lavoy Finicum. That's his name. Lavoy Finicum. FBI released it, and FBI were wrong. That was murder by the police. It's FBI Lavoy Finicum is his name, and he was shot by the police in cold blood. They need to reinvestigate that and put those officers in prison. That was murder. He was probably removing the gun to throw down on the ground. He didn't fire any first. He also told them in the beginning of it, I want that case to be reviewed. Because in the beginning of it, he says over and over, I'm going to the sheriff's station. He says it in the video over and over, I'm going to the sheriff's station. He was trying to find safety. He didn't trust those cops because he thought those cops were going to shoot him, and those cops did shoot him. He made some sloppy decisions by reaching in his jacket, but he was probably trying to remove that gun. That's the Lavoy Finicum shooting, okay? So it's going on and on. It's been going on for 3 years. They're killing people. They're killing people. They need a protest, the ones that don't want to kill. Those police officers need to protest and put their sidearms away and turn them in and say, I'll be a police officer, I'll be fine without my sidearm.